This may sound dramatic, but attention is the gift that you have, and how you decide to use that attention and what you give it to will determine how your life will go. And you're thinking, wow, that's kind of dramatic. Yeah, a little is. But I think small actions, depending on your attention, right, and your attention span, will lead to how your interpersonal relationships will develop, how you communicate with your friends. Are you a good listener? Are you unconscious when people talk to you? Do you find yourself drifting off and not valuing their time or listening to them? I know for me personally, that's a pet peeve of mine. If someone's not present and just like, okay, I'm talking to you, like, are you listening to me? Or are you just like, la la la? Because then what are we doing, man? I bet you wouldn't like that if the roles were switched. So I try to point that out to friends. They may get annoyed by it. I don't know if they find it. Maybe I think some of them respect it. Others may subconsciously they don't want to tell me to have a conflict. But screw it. It's who I am, and I don't like that shit. I would expect others to not also like being ignored or being heard. So, treat others the way you want to be treated. I don't think that that golden saying is really followed as much anymore. But when it comes to attention, whether it's games, movies, social media, big one, social media, uh, talking with friends, just all the stuff, you got to be aware of what you're giving your attention to, and is it in line with the things you want to do in your life, or are you using it to numb an uncomfortable feeling, right? Or you're distracting yourself from a task that needs to be done. I used to do a lot of procrastinating in high school and college. High school, I used to get away with it because it was easy, but college, especially near the last year, I really lacked motivation and I got by with just there was two classes left in my last semester, and I got C's in both of them, and I didn't look back. I was like, cool, don't care. Um, I'm so mentally checked out. Then the pandemic hit. I remember like my final was online. I was like, I don't care anymore. I just need a pass. I don't want to spend another 2,000 to 4,000 for a semester. I think it was 2,800 at that time for the college I went to, being CSUN. Shout out Matadors, but very affordable in retrospect to like a state school, or God forbid a private school where it costs an arm and a leg. I really feel bad for people that have huge student debt. That just feels like a huge albatross on one's back. And I was lucky that I didn't accumulate too much debt, and I was able to pay it off roughly in 2 or 3 years after I graduated. So it wasn't like I was debt free the second I graduated, but I got rid of it fairly well and paid off a car. And um, those things will help you in diverting your attention, right? Circle it back around to things that maybe matter more, where you can start saving up for things and building for the future and having more financial security, because your expenses, such as maybe a car payment or student loans in my case, are low or zero, and you don't have to worry about them until maybe you want to decide to buy a car one day. Or I don't think I'm going back to school, so, and if I am, I'm saving up money. If I ever have the some in my life where I'm like, yes, I feel like going back to school, at least I have some money saved up in savings, but I don't think anytime soon. I'm going to run with this bachelor's and see where it takes me. But in a car, I'm thinking of just renting or maybe like leasing. Unless I just find a car I absolutely love and I can pay it out right there and then. I'm holding on to my Jetta until the wheels fall off, and I can't use that car no more because I'm going to make it my beater. Like, I'm not cheap like that. I'm frugal and want to save up money for things that are more meaningful in my life, whether it's traveling or spending time with friends, and something that has substance to it. And if I divert my attention to just doom scrolling on social media, consuming content that's just very like brain rot and mushy, you just feel like your brain cells are dying and committing like death to themselves from explosion of just dumbness of going in your brain. So you're like you just feel dumber while consuming it, or watching just really toxic content when it comes to dating. I've gone through so much bad content of dating advice to where, like, a couple years ago, I think in like 2021, was not proud of some of the stances I have that have changed now for the better. And it just goes to show how influential this crap is. And if you keep consuming it and just, accepting it and reinforcing it, you're just going to fall down this rabbit hole of crap that just reinforces, some beliefs you have, and you get into these echo chambers, and then you wonder why people just end up being like morally bankrupt and just not all there, and critical thinking is very low, and they're hard to hang out with, and you just feel like something's off, like they don't seem really genuine or really interested or spending time with you. And it affects all aspects of human life, in my opinion, to where our attention, whether it's dating apps, social media, social networks like, X or Threads. I don't have either of those. I don't even have a TikTok. All I have is Instagram, Facebook, because I use it for Facebook dating, which is surprisingly good. I think Facebook dating, which this is only the few app I use, and Bumble. I've been getting a little better on Bumble, to be honest, but try not to use it that much and have more restrictions on it for sure. Because I think that if you just rely on them solely, it will feel like crap. But, if you have really low expectations and, you've done everything and you did your day, it's harmless to spend maybe 10 or 20 minutes on it per day. Who knows? You never know, right? You want to keep your options open, but you also want to be very realistic about what dating apps bring and how spending your time and energy on that is very low outcome, in my opinion, but it's not zero. So, hey, give it a try, right? This is only my experience. It could be better for you. Could be worse. Who knows? It's your life, right? At the end of the day, you're only going to figure out things if you try it yourself instead of listening to other people. Like me. I think it's good. You can listen to other people, but you got to be careful of what others say as well, because at the end of the day, we're all human, just trying to figure things out. And what I say, I don't want you to take it as gospel or as like, this is the sole truth. This is everything. You don't need anything else. Because, one, that would be pretty arrogant of me. And two, like, how delusional I have to be to think I know everything at 27, let alone even 20, 30, 40 years now. Like, I don't know shit, man. I do know some things, I guess, for now. Maybe in 3 years, I look back, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I really said that. Did I think that? But in this point in time, like, there's some things where I believe that, of sharing my opinion, 2 cents on it, and you can kind of determine from there. I think it's good to have critical thinking, think these things through, and really think hard about how you're spending your time. Because attention is the ultimate currency today. People say money, but I think that's very superficial and one note, and you don't really know from there. Money can bring you power and influence for sure. And some of the world is definitely ruled by that, unfortunately. I think that's just life, though. Corruption, all these things. Being a good, virtuous person is not that rewarding compared to someone who goes more of crime and maybe steals or cheats or rigs the system and uses power for wrong reasons. A lot of just morally messed up things. But if we can control what's in our control, right? Which is how you view things and how you think about them and decide to spend your time on. Like, you want to make sure, especially as you get older, you really start to value your time. And you want to make sure the things you do are worth your time. Because nothing is worse than having your time wasted and someone laughing about it or, relishing in the fact that your time was wasted, because you can't get that back. It's not like you can just earn more time. You can earn more money. You could save up. You could do other things, but time, it's very fleeting. It's gone. You don't know what the invisible counter is. Don't know when it's up. And not to scare anyone, but I think you can kind of use this as, okay, seize the day, really kind of just go about it with some gusto and really think about these things. Because if you just go on autopilot like a zombie, and that's kind of a scary thought to me. Sometimes I feel the way I think about things is a little double-edged sword, because it's like you're aware of it. So once the cat is out of the box, or whatever that saying is, like the cat's out of the hat, or wait, cat's out of the bag. I think that's it. You can't put it back, right? You open Pandora's box, whatever's in it, you can't just shove it back in. That knowledge is there, and once you're aware of it, there's no turning back. And how I think about things it may differentiate a little bit, but the core value of just being more in tune with myself and really focusing on myself and finding things that work for me or not in my life to be really self-sufficient and having more confidence, self-actualization, and just being a better person so I could be better for other people, whether it's something like being a better listener, a friend, companion, whatever it is, you could always improve on it. And you can even look at it as today is the worst you've ever been, and it can only get better from here. And even if you do stumble, there are certain things that even when you stumble, you're in a better position than you were before you were in a good time when you didn't stumble at a younger age or whatever, because you decide to keep going. And I think really getting a grasp on your attention, how you use it and give to people, is a very powerful thing that you should take a lot more seriously, because there's only so much time in a day for the things you want to do. And boundaries are really important, and you got to not be super selfish, but selfish in the sense of not sacrificing your own well-being and desires for others for superficial reasons, whether it's to save their feelings or you feel obligated to. Do it out of the kindness of your heart, or if you want to help them. But if you're feeling like negative feelings, or you're like, oh, this is off, maybe I'm feeling used here, maybe I'm being disrespected, I don't know, like, listen to your gut and not do that. So if someone next time asks you to watch a video or do this and that, maybe ask a question or two about it. Ask oh, what made you really like this show or movie that you want me to watch? Like, ask some questions about it. And if they're very passionate about the show and the passion, the joy of how they're talking about it, you're like, wow, this show made them feel that way. Hell yeah, I'm going to watch that. I want to see what it's about then. But, at the end of the day, some things you can figure out for yourself. I sometimes get into the trap of reading too much information. I'm trying to make a decision when sometimes for like reviews of a product, it's good, but for opinions on a show that's streaming or something and it's, subscription, sometimes reading opinions of people have on a show or whatever is good, but you don't want to get through the rabbit hole of reading hundreds and hundreds of them and being like, oh, it's back and forth. At the end of the day, you have to make your own decision on the opinion of those things, and it all goes back to attention. Because maybe you watch a show and you go through and you're like, it was pretty ass, and I wasted not wasted, but you spent time watching and you're like, it was mediocre. Maybe I'll learn from this and not consume media that's more high quality, right? Instead of low and slop, right? A lot of people like to use that word, but something that's just low effort and doesn't really make you think, or you're like, I already seen this. Like, I want something new that's like very important and thought-provoking and all that. So, some food for thought there, as always, on this channel. Thanks for watching, as always. Hope I earned your subscription to this channel. Like, comment, or whatever on, all those things. Earning it is much better than asking for it, but nice reminder just to put it out there. But if not, and you just came by and window shopped, that's cool with me too. I think just interacting with this means a lot to me. Now, anywho, gonna go watch some playoff basketball and kind of relax on my day off from the gym and recuperate and get ready for the rest of the week. So, take care. Catch you in the next video. Have a good one. See ya.